Hello and welcome to Runners Only with Dom Harvey. On this episode, Joseph Sullivan.
Yeah, I thought I was good at talking about it, but looking back, I probably wasn't, and I probably shut down. Like, I remember my parents would call and be like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, yeah, same old. And you just kind of flag it off. But I think the older I've got and the more I've kind of learnt from where I was, I'm a lot better at talking about things. And especially with this job in the fire service, some of the shit we see now is pretty hard to deal with. Yeah, being able to open up and talk to people is hugely important.
Joseph Sullivan truly is a great New Zealander. He's a hero, but I feel like he's kind of one of those under-the-radar heroes where the name might ring a bell, but you can't quite recall where you know it from. And that is just the way this unassuming firefighter and father from Bay of Plenty likes it. Joseph won an Olympic gold medal in 2012 for rowing. He retired prematurely in 2014 after being screwed over by rowing in New Zealand, something which broke him and took him a while to recover from. We get into that in the podcast. Since then, he's found a new purpose in the New Zealand Fire Service. He got married, he's had 2 kids, and he managed to train as a grinder for Team New Zealand and won the America's Cup twice. It was such an honour to sit down with Joseph at the Kawarau fire station to cover all aspects of his remarkable life so far, the very high highs and the very deep lows. Hope you guys love this conversation with Joseph Sullivan.
Hey, runners only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is Runners Only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. This is Runners Only, yeah, let's get it started. Hey, this is Runners Only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady, anywhere you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. Hey, Runners Only with Dom Harvey.
Runners Only with Dom Harvey and Joseph Sullivan. G'day, mate.
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. So we're in one of the offices at the Kawarau fire station?
Yep, that's the one.
And this is work, this is home.
Yeah, it's a different kind of situation being able to do a podcast at work, but it's cool.
Yeah, now your boss warned me on the way in that if there's a call out or some sort of like siren or emergency that we're going to have to pause this.
Yeah, literally the tones will go down and I'll just shoot off and jump in the truck and we'll be gone. But
what's the likelihood of that? Can you go for weeks without a call out or is it not?
Yeah, we can go weeks or a month without a call out, but then some days we have 3 or 4 and in a set we could have up to 10. So yeah, it's a varying kind of situation depending on weather and conditions and what people are doing out in the public.
It's quite a humbling job, isn't it? It's a very rewarding job, but I'm guessing here no one gives a flying fuck about about what you did 10 years ago or what you did 2 years ago. You know, all these incredible achievements you have. You're just one of the team here.
Yeah, just one of the boys, which is cool. It's probably what I prefer. It's kind of humbling being around these kind of guys. Everyone's been in different situations and had some hard times in their lives and some good times in their lives. So, but yeah, it's just a good bunch of people working hard for the same goal of kind of protecting the community the best we can. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's part of the reason I wanted to get you on the podcast. I feel like you don't necessarily get the name recognition or the recognition that you deserve. Like I had a phone call from a friend on the drive here and she said, "Where are you off to?" I said, "I'm going to Kawarau to record a podcast with Joseph Sullivan." And she said, "Oh, the name rings a bell." And I'm like, this guy won a gold medal in 2012, one of the most incredible sporting moments ever. He's won 2 America's Cup. But it's just, yeah, it feels like it's one of those things. Like if you're around long enough and you win enough gold medals, people remember you. Like your Valerie Adams, your Lisa Carringtons, Eric Murray, whatever. Yeah. But you win 1 gold medal, and then I suppose it's like a flash for a couple of months, and then you sort of disappear into oblivion a little bit. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends. I guess at the London Olympics, there were so many of us that won at the same time, which kind of
minimises
the impact of what you've done. But at the same time, it's not anything I've ever chased, being famous or being recognised or anything like that. I almost enjoy the fact that people don't know who I am. When I walk down the street, I have a bit more privacy and can kind of just enjoy what I've achieved and get on with life.
Yeah, so you won a gold medal in 2012 at the London Games?
London Olympics,
and that was with Nathan Cohen?
Yep.
Yeah, so what was the sport? What was the event?
The men's double sculls and rowing.
It was called the sporting moment of the decade because you guys weren't sort of even in the medal hunt. I watched it on YouTube just the other day. I forgot how good this was. You guys were so far behind, and in the last 500 metres, you just smoked everybody. Was that sort of the strategy of you guys? Were you always a come-from-behind duo?
Yeah, it's never been a strategy to be that far behind. It's never ideal, but I guess for us, we can't do it any other way. Nathan's really strong throughout the middle of the race, and I seem to be strong at the start and the finish, and we kind of blend our kind of strengths into one. And I think in the races like that, we have been known for our sprints to the finish, so everyone kind of knew we were capable of that, and I think they were doing their best to create that buffer between them and us coming into their last 500. So, yeah, they were doing their best to get as far away from us as possible, and we're doing our best just to hold on, giving ourselves the opportunity to sprint right at the end. And, yeah, it was a weird race because we were working our asses off the whole time. Nathan was telling me we were right up in the mix of it, and we weren't. He's quite good at painting a good picture to keep me motivated.
Is this during the race?
During the race, yeah. I can't see anything, so I'm literally at the back of the boat looking backwards, so I can't see anyone. Nathan gets to have a look around and make all the calls and kind of deal with the positions and stuff like that. And yeah, so he's looking around knowing that we're behind and telling me positive things to keep me really motivated, and we're into it. And yeah, we kind of get into that last 500, and that's kind of where we both just dig in and give it everything we can. And I remember going into the last kind of 200 metres thinking, holy shit, we're in the mix. And I was thinking, holy crap, we're going to get a bronze medal. How cool was this? And crossed the line, and I was pretty stoked. I was like, holy shit, we just got a bronze medal. And then it wasn't until we looked up at the big screen and like, holy shit, we've actually won.
So, but did Nathan know straight? He must have known all along that you won a gold.
I think so. Yeah, I think at the end he knew, right, because he could see what was kind of happening. But
are you guys both so fucked to speak at that point? So,
pretty much in that last 500, like our visions are disappearing, and kind of you're just not aware of what's around you, and you're so focused on just trying to get that boat across the line. I didn't really take in that we'd actually passed anyone.
You look completely spent. But you look happy as well. Did you think that you were like a third, maybe?
Yeah, so I was pretty stoked with third, and then you can actually see the moment on TV, like on the video, when we look up at the screen, we look left, and then we're like, "Holy fuck, we just won!" Like,
how good! Oh my god, I've got goosebumps with you retelling that story. You can't have been surprised though, because you guys won the world champs in 2010, the world champs in 2011. So you must have been going in as the team to beat.
Like if you looked at our history, we were the team to beat, but our lead into the Olympics was pretty terrible. We had a really bad run in the World Cups, the two previous World Cups before going to the Olympics. I think we got maybe second to last in the first World Cup, and then
how far before the Olympics are we talking? Like a couple of months or something?
6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was happening? Were you just off form, or?
I think we'd gone through such a massive training block back in New Zealand, and we knew we'd put ourselves in the hole, and we were prepared for it. We thought we were mentally. And we were just doing everything we could to get ourselves in a good position. We did a winter series here in New Zealand before we left, and the selectors took us aside and absolutely just ripped us to pieces, saying we're not where we should be, we're crap, we shouldn't have been going. Like, what are we doing? And for some reason, although we were just knackered from training, and then you think you're mentally prepared, but then someone in that position to come and say that to us just before we go overseas for our biggest event, really put a spanner in the works mentally for us. And we were kind of, I don't know if we panicked, but we started trying to figure out like what was going wrong, and we started looking in all the wrong places, and we started changing our settings, and we swapped seats in the boat for a little bit, and like we just did stupid shit that we should have never done, and we should have just relied on what we'd already been doing in training, and just remembered we're all doing it for the right reason.
Yeah.
We kind of threw all that stuff at ourselves, and it kind of just blew us out a bit mentally. And then we were almost fighting each other, not like physically fighting or mentally fighting or abusive, but like we were both trying to work so hard that we'd stop gelling as a team. And
you start sort of blaming each other almost for...
Yeah, but you're almost blaming each other without saying it, which is worse. It's getting more internal. And it
just comes from a place of frustration though, right?
Yeah, pure frustration. And it didn't even need to happen though. That was the thing. Like, it was purely from someone commenting when we were at our lowest, like physically, just because we've been training so hard, to throw that at us, and then all of a sudden we start thinking about stuff that's not even an issue. And it took us so long just to get back on form and realise nothing was actually wrong, and we had all the potential we needed to do what we had to.
This was like 10, 11 years ago that this happened. It feels like it would be unacceptable now in the environment we're living in and the awareness that we've got about mental health and high-performance sport.
Yeah.
Shit, you guys must have been... You look back now and you're pissed off with it? Does it make you angry?
I don't know. It's one of those things, it kind of... Although it was shit at the time and it was really frustrating and all that kind of stuff was happening, the result we got once we started figuring out just going back to basics was so much more impressive, and it kind of just got us fired up again. Like with all that shit going wrong and us not really gelling together, things were going really bad. We were training in Belgium and it rained for like probably 6 weeks straight. We'd be biking to training in the rain, rowing in the rain, coming back in the rain, and it was just depressing. And things our coach was saying to us weren't helping either. Like we were almost getting really pissed off at each other for things that didn't exist. And one day, me and Nathan training solidly and living in the same room and biking to training together for a solid week, and we didn't actually talk to each other once. Like we were that bad at that point. Like we didn't hate each other, we were just frustrated and we didn't know what to do. But we were with each other for 24 hours a day. And
the air must have been so thick, though.
Yeah, it was.
How do you not end up coming to blows and having a punch up in that sort of environment?
I don't know.
Or was there still like a deep-seated love there between you think?
I don't know if it was love, but it was more, I guess it's more respect. Like we both knew the goal we wanted, and we both knew we were working as hard as we possibly could to achieve that goal. And like, as frustrated as you can get at each other, you both know you're in it for the same thing. So that respect and all that was still there. And it wasn't until one day we kind of just came to a heads, and it wasn't even angry, it was just like frustration. And we decided, what the hell are we doing? We're just going to go back to basics and sort it out. And then we had another chat and we're like, we need to get out of here. So me and Nathan rented a car. We were going to take a weekend off. We'd been training for so long, and we thought, screw it, we'll go find some sun. So we thought we'd drive from Belgium into France. We'd stop at a hotel. And
my geography is terrible. How far?
Belgium to France is like an hour or two.
Okay, like Auckland to Hamilton.
Auckland to Hamilton. But we hadn't really planned it out too well. We rented this car on the Friday. We drove into France. We thought we were going to stop halfway in a place called Dijon and have a nap, and we'll carry on to our destination the next day. And we got to Dijon at like, I think at 11:30 at night, tried to get a hotel, and it was the first day of summer holidays in Europe, and there was not one hotel or anything available. So we were like, screw it. So we both took turns at driving and the other sleeping, and we literally drove, I think we drove 1,200 miles or 1,200 Ks. We drove from one side of France to the other, and we ended up in Marseille at like 5:30 in the morning. And this is before your cell phone had like Google and all that, like internet. I don't even know, like we must have gone to a bad part of Marseille because it just wasn't that pretty. And we just looked up places that were really good, and Marseille was one of those places that everyone's like, oh, it's amazing there. So we turn up in Marseille and we're like, this is a bit crap. So we find the local McDonald's, get our computers out again, and we're like, Google best beaches near Marseille, and we found this tiny little beachside town. And we drove for another hour and a half, turned up in this town, got a hotel, and it was just sunny, and it was just such a good mental relief for the both of us. We were away from our coach, we were away from everyone else in the training group. I'm
guessing in that lengthy car ride, like the silence was broken, you would have been chatting with each other, I suppose bonded by your disobedience?
We were kind of chatting, but also like we got so tired that we had to have turns of driving. So one was sleeping, one was driving. So kind of got to Marseille, to this town in the little seaside town. I can't even remember the name of it, but it was amazing. And we went down to the beach. We had our bikes with us, so we had our bikes and a tiny little car driving across France. And we just went for a bike ride. We found this little yacht and went for a sail and went for a swim. And just the mental break from being outside of a training group that was so stressed and focused on the Olympics was literally everything we needed. We had a really good break, had a really good sleep, had some real good food, and then the next day we took our bikes into the mountains and did a bit of a bike ride around there, had turns driving to the top of a hill while the other descended, and it was incredible. And then
if one of you asked off or something, you would have been sent home in disgrace.
We were very cautious. We knew
brakes on all the way down.
We knew what was on the line. We definitely weren't doing our normal descents, but I think it was just the fact we were away from everything and we were just two guys just having a good road trip.
Just a reset.
Yeah, just two mates. It was back to normal. It was really cool. And we chatted about everything and nothing. And, we had a few weird situations. Like we'd get to one town and we needed to refuel and no credit cards were accepted, so we had to figure out how to do stuff like that. But it just kind of added to the trip, and it was just good fun. And we literally turned up late that night. We had to drive all the way back. And,
this whole thing sounds disastrous.
And no one could get a hold of us because we're in a different country, so our roaming wasn't working. And I remember our coach having a go at us for being away and like, how could we not let him know? And we're like, we're grown adults. Like, we know what we're doing. We were just having a good break and we needed it. I think before we left, we told everyone we were going to Bruges, which was like an hour away from where we were staying. We actually drove to the south of France, but like when everyone asked where we went, we were like, we went to the south of France. And
bullshit.
We were telling the complete truth, and absolutely no one believed us. It was so funny.
Yeah, you needed like Instagram so you could check in.
Yeah, but literally after that one weekend, we were on fire again. Like we went into the training pieces the next day, and no one could touch us. We were back, and it was such a good feeling to just be on form again. And it was something as simple as having a break. Like when you're mentally down and you're mentally drained, and everything's just crushing you, not physically, but just mentally in your head. Having a break and switching off from that and just resetting was the best thing that had ever happened to us. And I think if we had not done that trip, there was no way we would have won.
Yeah, isn't that funny, eh? Because, there's the years and years and hours of training that go into it, which obviously helped you win. But at the end of the day, just a simple, unorthodox team-building exercise, essentially.
Yeah, literally.
Which no one would ever have approved.
No, not at all. No, like if we went and talked to anyone about that or asked management to let us do that, they would have laughed in our faces and told us we were crazy. But yeah, sometimes just doing something like just hanging out as mates was the most important thing for us. And it's kind of scary to think how many teams or how many crews have been in that situation and not come out of it the right way for something as simple as just having a break.
But somewhere in New Zealand, there's one of those selectors that put a rocket up you guys and said you were underperforming and what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
That is probably now sitting back going, I gave them a rocket and that definitely helped.
Yeah, yeah.
Did it?
I don't think so. I think it was way worse than anything.
Just threw you both off your game in a way.
Not only through us, it threw our coach, and it was funny because we'd even talked about where we were trying to aim for and what we were trying to do. We were trying to be as tired and as fucked as we could before we got on the plane to go to Europe. And that's what we were doing. And then we were in that position, and the day before we left for Europe, someone comes and tells you you're crap, and it just starts making your mind boggle. It's insane, but yeah, I guess depending on which perspective you look at it, they probably, like the selector probably thought that's what we needed and that's what they gave us, but
you're welcome.
Little did they know we almost self-destructed, but I think it was purely the fact that we managed to, like after all that frustration, just talk it out as two mates and get it sorted, and we're lucky we did.
And what's your relationship like now? Like, how often do you guys see each other? You go through something incredible like that, it links you for life.
Yeah, I guess we had probably a little bit of a break from each other after the Olympics. We'd spent more time with each other than we had our own partners and families and things like that. So, yeah, it probably was a good year. And now we're good mates. We're about to do the 5 Passes bike challenge in November down in the South Island. And, every time I get down to Christchurch, we catch up, or if he's up here, we catch up. And, I guess we'll always have that bond of the shit that we went through to get to our dreams. So
yeah, and just this sporting moment together that just links you for life. And it's something, I suppose, as you get older, you look back and it gets even more and more special in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that one is, like, for me, that's probably the best award you can get because it's voted by the public and that's something that's
What's
pretty
that one?
special.
Oh, the sporting moment of the decade.
Yeah, the sporting moment. Yeah, it was. I remember getting told by lots of people that they were watching our race and they thought we were going to lose, so they changed the channel. And then they looked at the news the next day and we won, so they had to re-watch it. But I guess as Kiwis, we don't like watching a Kiwi team get their ass kicked.
Unless you're a Warriors fan, in which case you've grown an immunity.
Yeah, but it was one of those cool races, I guess. Rowing's not really a sport where you watch someone get their ass kicked and then sprint for a finish. It's not normally like that. If you're getting your ass handed to you, you normally finish that way too. So it was very cool to be able to do that.
So you won an Olympic gold medal. What's it like after that? Is it a massive celebration, or are you just too fucked?
The night we won, we literally finished the race, and normally when you finish a race, you go do a big warm down period and get your legs moving again. But you cross the line, you go to the podium, you do media chats, you go on the podium, you get your medal, you go do a press conference, and then I think we went back to a cafe bar near the lake, and we did another 6 hours of media chat.
Oh, actually, yeah, I was probably one of them. I apologise.
It's still good, but we were absolutely stuffed, and our legs had cramped up, and we were just seized. And we'd had I think we had 2 beers, and after training so hard for so long, and not getting on the piss or anything like that, 2 beers went straight to the head, and we just everyone was like, "Do you want to go out tonight?" And we're like, "No, we just want to go back to the hotel and do nothing." Just
exhausted.
We were exhausted, and then
I suppose you have to get up the next morning to do 7 sharp or
the next morning was 4:30 start to be live on television for 6 o'clock news.
Yeah,
which was cool because it was our kind of opportunity to thank everyone that had played a part in our achievement. And you kind of see an achievement and you think those guys have worked really hard, but there's physios, there's strength and conditioning trainers, there's office staff that help a lot, and then there's your families and the people in your communities that got you into the sport. So to be able to thank them live on television, I'm pretty sure most of them were still pissed, was just a cool opportunity and something I'll always be grateful for too.
Yeah, how long are you riding a high for? How long are you carrying the medal around for? How long is it until the fuss around it dies down? Is it a few months? Couple of months?
It's a good couple of months.
Yeah, school visits and whatnot.
Yeah, school visits, and you come back to New Zealand and people kind of recognise you. They would have never seen you before, and probably luckily for me, people think I'm a lot bigger than I am.
Yeah, so you are quite short for the sport, aren't you?
I was at the London Olympics, I was the shortest and lightest heavyweight rower in the world. So people kind of have this expectation that I'm some different person, and then they see me and they're like, "Oh, you're just a normal guy." And I'm like, yeah, the hype was pretty cool. The parties in London were incredible. Definitely hit it hard the day after we had our night of rest.
Are we talking in the Olympic Village or in London City?
No, so
in London town.
There's no real party in the village till the Olympic Games are finished, and we kind of get out of there straight away and head back to New Zealand. But sponsors like Omega and Red Bull and all that put on these big extravagant parties all across New Zealand, all across London and Soho and things like that. So yeah, we got to get out and enjoy that, and then you come back from those big parties and the food court's still open and
Free McDonald's.
Oh,
there's Eric Murray sitting over there with 1,000
Eric's already there, set up. But yeah, no, it was probably the best time of my life at that point, and it was just so much fun being able to be a part of it. And I was pretty lucky being my first Olympics and having that experience from Nathan. He kind of said to me before we even got to the Olympics, don't get caught up in all the hype. We're here to do that one job.
Yeah, because he was there in 2008 and he rode with Rob Waddell. So. Yeah, so he was the more experienced one.
Yeah, definitely more experienced and had kind of gone through it and dealt with not succeeding, which would have been pretty rough. But yeah, what he said to me made a lot of sense. You're not there as a tourist. You're there to complete your job and your goals, and then after that you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
We definitely did that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I suppose that's tough because there's a lot of people who probably scrape in with selection and they're lucky to be there. And they if they make a final, it would be incredible, but they're not expected to finish anywhere near the top. But you guys because of your success in the World Champs in 2010 and 2011, I suppose there was like real heat on you.
I think because we hadn't succeeded in the World Cups leading in, the media took all the pressure off us because they thought we were just blown out. So that was almost a blessing in disguise for us. Like, we were kind of overlooked, which was perfect because it took all that pressure off, and all we had to do was go and do what we wanted to, and that was to win anyway. So that was really nice, and we didn't have to do all the media interviews before and have that expectation. So, yeah, we were, as bad as the situation was leading into it, it was almost a blessing for us as well. So that was kind of cool. But, yeah, you can definitely see how people get caught up in making sure they're at the opening and going to all these different events around the Olympics before they race and just losing focus on what they're actually there for.
Yeah.
And that's always sad to see.
And how long do you carry the medal around for? Because I suppose it's one of those things for a while. People ask where the medal is, or they want to see it, or they want to touch it, or they want to put it between their teeth.
Yeah, my medal definitely took an ass kicking. It was in my pocket most of the time, and especially at the Olympics, like if you ever needed a ticket to get into thing or get through security, you just pull out the medal and they let you straight through, which was really cool. So I got to see people like Usain Bolt race and things like that when I was not completely hungover. But yeah, I think coming back to New Zealand, I didn't really lose too much sight of it. And then for a good solid 2 years, because people always asked where it was, it sat in the glove box in my car. So it was always kind of there. Yeah, luckily my car never got stolen, but I don't know why. It was always just in the glove box.
And so what happened then between like 2012 and 2016? Like I suppose what I'm asking is like why did you and Nathan Cohen not become like Bond and Murray or and another any other like iconic Olympian that backs it up 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, I think after London, we kind of both talked about, Nathan said he wanted to have a break from rowing and was going to have that. And then I talked to the management and they kind of told me I could have 4 months off before I needed to be back in the team. So we were both kind of doing our own thing for that little bit of time. And being under all that stress from rowing together for so long, we weren't the best of mates, but we had that mutual respect. But he went off and did his thing, and I kind of went off to enjoy having a break, and Mahe asked me if I wanted to do the coast to coast, and I thought that was pretty cool, so I was training for that. And then a month into my break, my coach came back and said I need to be training again because everyone's going really fast, and I was like, I don't really care.
Oh, is this 1 month into the 4 month break?
Yeah, 1 month into my 4 month break, I got told I need to be back training because everyone's going really quick, and I'm like, well, that's really nice, but it's 4 years till the next Olympics. Like, we don't need to be on form yet.
Yeah, you got to peak at the right time.
Just give me a bit of time, and he kind of just started putting the pressure on me to start training again. And reluctantly, I think after like 6 weeks off, I started turning up at training again, and that was just demoralising. I just didn't want to be there. I wasn't enjoying it because I didn't come back when he told me to. I wasn't getting put in the crew boats, and I was getting chucked in the single, which I didn't enjoy at the time, and I just really hated training for that whole summer. My coach became a selector, and it all kind of started going downhill from there. He was telling me we needed to do all this stuff, and I was like, okay, sweet. So I was achieving everything he wanted me to achieve, and I just wasn't doing it with the same vigour that he wanted. And then all of a sudden, it came to trials. I was pretty keen to be in the quad because the double wasn't really happening, and he literally just wouldn't put me in the crew boats for training, and then came to trials, and my trials just went to shit. Pretty sure they were just trying to get rid of me at that point. I'd said something to our coach during the season that all the guys were feeding to me because they thought I'd have some rapport with him. So everyone was kind of feeding me what they didn't like, and I was talking to him thinking we had a rapport and we could chat about things like that.
Thinking you were bros because you've been through this amazing thing together.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it was like you
just went cold.
I was getting shot as the messenger, and he just went dark on me, and I just was pushed out of the team pretty much.
So you were sort of unceremoniously dumped, really?
Yeah, pretty much. So the next trial we went through, the seat racing, I was getting put in the boat that was going the slowest each time, and they were using that as a factor to tell me that I wasn't going well, and it was weird because I would literally do a race and I'm like, they're going to put me in this boat next, and that would happen, and it was weird seeing my own demise.
Are you saying and recognising this from the benefit of like a lot of hindsight, or could you sort of see it happening at the time in slow-mo?
I could see it happening as it was happening, and it was really demoralising. And then come to the naming of the team, and I didn't get named, and then I get named as a reserve. I kind of sucked it up, and I was like, right, we've still got 3 years till the next Olympics. Like, I can come back from this. I've been tested before. Just go with it. So I went and did the single as the reserve for the team, and then they tell me I wasn't expected to achieve anything. Like, they know I'm just the reserve for this thing, and then I get made to race as the single, and then they use those results against me the next year, saying that I went crap in the single and I didn't deserve this and I didn't deserve that. And I'm like, I just spent the last 4-5 years trying to perfect my technique in a double. Like, I wasn't a single sculler anymore. Yeah, from that, it was another crappy year of training in summer, and then came to selection again, and they named me as a reserve, and I was like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, so you left on, I guess, on your own terms in the way, but you were sort of like pushed in a way.
It was a pushed retreat, I guess.
You must have felt just such a sense of betrayal.
I was disillusioned. I didn't know what to do. I was completely lost. Yeah, it was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah, how was your mental health through that?
It was terrible.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, I remember finishing, and because I'd thrown all my eggs into one basket, like getting to the Olympics was everything that I'd focused on. I kind of went to university, but it wasn't for me, and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to put everything into rowing and get this medal and see what happens from there.
Yeah, when you say university wasn't for you, it was just like the studying aspect of it.
Yeah, I did a full semester at university, and I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't see myself being an academic or anything like that. I'm more of a hands-on.
Yeah, and you absolutely
part of a team.
And the funny thing is, it's I think you should be proud of that fact, because there's a lot of people that be like, no, I've signed up to this thing, I'm going to see it through. Yeah. But if you know in your heart of heart that something's not right, I think there's a lot of power in accepting that and acknowledging it, and then just pulling the pin early.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So your mental health, what did you? Because you seem to be like a super motivated guy, like a guy that's always going to find a purpose to get up in the morning and get training or whatever. But was there a period there where like you just lost that interest?
Completely.
Were you married at the time, or were you a single man? Or?
No, I was a single man in a pretty complicated relationship at the time. But yeah, I kind of finished, and there were days where I just wouldn't get up till 11 or 12, and I was just sitting on the couch, and I'd have this big plan the night before of what I was going to do and what I was going to achieve for the day, and then I'd come to that day and wouldn't get anything done. I just avoided everything. It was like I was just procrastinating life, really. I was just kind of living day by day but not achieving anything. I was going to events and parties and random things that people would ask me to go to, because when you're training for rowing, literally everything gets put on the sideline, and you don't get to go to weddings or like I even missed my grandparents' funerals because I was at New Zealand trials or I was overseas and things like that. So anything that anyone asked me to, I went to it, but my day-to-day life, I was like kind of moping around.
For how long, and how did you pull yourself out of that?
I don't know.
By the way, thanks for sharing this and admitting it. I think it's really cool, because I feel like there's a lot of people that have like mental health issues, and it's like there's a chemical imbalance in their brain. But then there's people that go through major life upheavals. And one thing I've learned doing this podcast this year is absolutely everyone is carrying around a bag of shit to some degree.
Exactly.
It's just at the size of the bag.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I don't know one person that hasn't had a shit time in their life, and it's not so much like how shit it was or what made it happen. It's just kind of how you get through it. And sometimes you can't see the exit, or you can't see how you're going to get through it.
But you do, though. It's like there's a running saying, especially for the longer distances, you just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. And
it's a good metaphor for life as well. And there's a saying, this too shall pass, and everything does. But yeah, so how long did it last for you?
It's completely like that. For me, it kind of went for probably nearly 2 months. Like, I was existing as a human, and people on the outside probably didn't see it as much as people really close to me.
Because did you have quite a good mask? Are you quite good at just the old I'm all good?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's just the New Zealand way. Like, everyone asks you, and you're like, I'm all good. I'm just trying to reassess what I'm going to do, and you kind of can talk your way out of it. But
you do. You come up with like a just a one sentence sort of explanation, don't you?
Yeah. And it was funny. Like, I remember being on the couch watching the America's Cup, that was happening over in San Fran and thinking, how cool was this? And it was motivating me to get up in the morning, and we were winning by 8-0, and then...
Oh, that's the one with Dean Barker and Oracle. Oracle was the biggest comeback of...
Yeah, so that didn't help to depression either. Like, I was getting up every morning and watching Team New Zealand get their ass handed to them.
That's right, that was the start of the rivalry with Jimmy Spittle.
All they had to do was win one race, and I just remember watching that thinking, what the hell? Like, this is fucked up. But, I kind of got through that.
I suppose those mornings you're thinking, well, at least I'm not Dean Barker right now.
But
poor Dean.
Yeah, it was a funny thing watching the America's Cup from the outside, and what you think about it and what you feel about it when you're watching it as a supporter, and then being in the team later on is a completely different thing. But
we will get to that. Sorry,
we'll carry on.
We've been speaking for like 40 minutes already, but it's such a massive life you've had, and I think it's really, really good to hear that you had this massive high and this massive dip, and then more massive highs again in the future. I think it's encouraging for a lot of people. It sends a message of hope. So through that time, like, did you get any professional help? Did you get any counselling? You try any drugs or anything? Not recreational prescription.
No, I didn't get into any drugs or like support drugs or kind of pills, but I was still seeing the psychologist that we had from rowing, and I remember like I was seeing him during my year when everything was turning to shit, and I remember even saying to him, like, as it was happening, like, this is going to happen, you watch it, like, I can see this is coming. And he's like, no, you're just thinking negatively. And then I went and talked to him after I got dropped, and he's like, no, you were right, you saw it coming, and that's just fucked up. But he was really helpful, and we talked through a few things, and he was kind of trying to get me motivated about what I could do next, or was there another sport that I thought about doing?
Because you were still young, right?
Yeah.
Like 20s, in your 20s.
I was 27, I think, when it all turned to shit. I felt like I had so much more to give, but I didn't really know where to put that energy or that time into, and I was kind of just floating around. And I was seeing the psychologist, and I was getting the help I needed, and was trying to stay positive, but I just couldn't see, like, the out. And I was having big weekends on the piss with friends, and I was kind of enjoying that side of life, but still was just lost and not following a direction. And it wasn't actually until we kind of did this event with the Halberg Disability and Sport Foundation, and we did this trip racing some Australians around New Zealand doing different tasks like rowing and cycling and running and things like that. The team that was actually supporting us was the Green Watch Fire crew from Hamilton. And they were driving us around in the vans while we did these events, and like that was all good, and went back to my normal life of just being in despair for a bit. And then one day they gave me a call and was like, oh, we were pretty keen to meet up for a coffee, and I met up with two of the guys from this crew, and they said, we think you should join the fire service.
Had you ever thought about that? Entertained the idea?
Never even thought about the fire service, probably since I was a 5-year-old kid. Like, I remember going to the fire station when I was a kid, and how amazing was that? You get to go in the truck and try on the gear, and that was really cool.
Get the disappointment when you realise most stations don't actually have a pole.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'd never thought about being a fireman ever again. And then these two guys literally said, we think you'd be good for the fire service. Have you thought about trying? So I went and did a ride along with them in Hamilton, and just kind of found a sense of purpose. And I really enjoyed kind of the camaraderie and what was happening in that kind of group. And there was an intake coming up, so I applied and went through all the testing and did all the cognitive and the physical testing. And
you'd fly through that, wouldn't you?
Well, I thought I did. I went through it all, and then I got to the interview phase, and I had my first formal interview, and I'd been a sports person my whole life. I'd never had to sit down with someone in power, plead my case why I thought I was going to be a good firefighter and that kind of stuff. And I remember getting asked these questions, and they're like, have you ever had to deal with this and that? And I explained what I'd dealt with, and I remember dropping a few F-bombs, got out of the interview, and the guy that I'd talked to, he rang me up and was like, how was your interview? And I think it went good. And he rang up the guy who interviewed me, and he's like, he dropped a lot of swear words.
Is that not I would have thought the fire service would be quite a sweary environment.
Apparently not in a formal interview, but yeah, he rang me back and he's like, oh, it's not looking good. You maybe sworn a bit too much. And I was like, shit. So I remember they kind of told us we'd hear about if we got in or not in the next 10 days, and I waited those 10 days and got no phone call, so I'd literally planned a weekend with the boys in Whitianga, and I was heading on the piss, and that was maybe 15 days after the interview, and I was like, oh, surely I haven't made it. They would have let me know by now, and I was heading to Whitianga and got the phone call to tell me I was in, and that kind of just gave me a revive to my life. And
like a purpose or direction.
Yeah, all of a sudden I knew what I was about to do and where I was going to head. So, yeah. It was,
I suppose something to look forward to, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Is that sort of what you mean?
Yeah, definitely. And, yeah, it was just having purpose. And I think when you're in that phase of depression, just finding that thing that makes you get up or makes you move or makes you get outside of the house or out of your comfort zone is really important. I know it's literally the hardest thing in the world to find, but just like you said with the running, it's just putting one foot in front of the other just again.
Keep moving forward.
Just to keep moving and keep getting some traction.
You're funny in a way, aren't you? Because I've heard interviews with you before, and you talk about your introduction to rowing, and it was like the head boy at the school grabbed you and was like, "Oi, come with me, you're rowing." It seems like it's the same with the fire service. Someone's like, "Oi, you should apply for this."
Literally everything in my life has been like that. I got told to start rowing, and I was like, oh, yeah. Not really doing anything else, and then finish rowing, and the fire service guys tell me to do that, and I'm like, sounds all good, like, give it a go.
Because part of me thinks that's probably like a dangerous way to get out of like a depressive slump. Like, just wait for something. You should be proactive and look for something. And But I suppose everything happens for a reason at the right time. Yeah. And you said you were in a complicated relationship at the time, but did you have, were you quite good at like talking with your friends or family or anything, or you sort of keep things to yourself?
Yeah, I thought I was good at talking about it, but looking back, I probably wasn't, and I probably shut down. Like, I remember my parents would call and be like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, yeah, same old. And you just kind of flag it off. But I think the older I've got and the more I've kind of learnt from where I was, I'm a lot better at talking about things. And especially with this job in the fire service, some of the shit we see now is pretty hard to deal with. Yeah, being able to open up and talk to people is hugely important.
Oh, mate, well, you've come a long way. You should be proud. You should be proud of the work you've done. Yeah.
Cheers.
Man, it's a lot to go through.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
It's a lot to go through. Do you think you're a dad now, right? You got twins?
No. People think they're twins. No, two just very close together.
Yeah.
Amelia and Izzy. Yeah, two little girls.
And do you think like that's even like peeled off another couple of layers of Joseph Sullivan?
Holy shit!
In terms of the, I suppose, vulnerability or openness.
Yeah, like people always say, once you have kids, it changes everything, and I can't. Like, yeah, it definitely changes everything. Like, your whole perspective on life becomes about them, really, and what you do to help them achieve is probably the greatest thing. But not everyone has that opportunity or even wants that opportunity. Yeah. So I completely respect people that don't want to do it. But yeah, parents that are doing their best to provide for their kids is really important.
Yeah. What was that sound? You don't need to go anywhere?
No, not an alarm. It's just a phone call that echoes through the station.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but like you were tearing up just a second ago at the point where you were talking about some of the things you say. You guys are heroes. You're sort of rolling your eyes at that. You know, what I think the New Zealand Fire Service do is far more. Are you sure you don't need to go anywhere?
That's not me.
Like what you guys do in comparison to someone winning a gold medal from rowing, I think is the gold medal pales in comparison. You guys do a remarkable job. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about this tonight. Are you talking about car accidents or? It's
a weird situation. Like when you're at that job or you're at that call, nothing really affects you. You know what you're there for. You're going through the motions. You're doing what you need to make the best outcome possible. But it's kind of afterwards. Like, I remember when I joined the fire service, we didn't really go to medicals or things like that. But after a year, we had a memorandum of understanding that we would go to purple calls assisting St. John's and ambulance and just anything medical, so purple calls, which is cardiac arrest or suicides or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how how you process that or deal with that? Like, is there a good counselling team or support here?
I think.
Or do you talk about it with each other? Or?
Yeah, you definitely talk about it with the boys, and you kind of you almost have some black humour about it, and you kind of.
So it's a coping mechanism.
It's definitely a coping mechanism. Like if someone turned up and heard what we said about situations we went to, you'd think we're all insane. But I think if you don't do that and you don't distance yourself from the shit you've just seen, it would crush you. And like even now, like I don't think about it much, but like if you do look back and the list just grows of shit that you've seen, and it's pretty hard.
Yeah, compounding.
Yeah. I normally find myself, I'm normally pretty good at, I'm good at talking about it, and I'm good at kind of seeing as what it was, but sometimes it does just overwhelm you, and it can catch you off guard.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for what you do for the country, you and your mates here. I mean, I had a mate of mine that took his own life a few years ago by standing in front of a train, and it's like, you know, you think of obviously like it's horrible for his immediate circle, like his family and his friends and whatever, and it's horrible for the train driver who I don't know what they see from the cockpit or the engine or whatever it's called,
yeah.
But then someone's like scraping up, you know,
washing it down. Yeah, I think like as hard as suicide is and how mentally draining it is for that person, and it seems like the best escape. I think if they could understand the impact. And it's so hard to see because you're so blinded by the shit that's
you think
clouding.
You think you're doing everyone a favour.
Yeah, you think you're helping everyone by disappearing, but you're not. You're making it so much harder on everyone around you. Yeah, it's really it's upsetting, and it's sad to think that people think that's the best option for them, and it's definitely not. Like I'd way rather someone call me up at 2 a.m. and just let whatever they've got out, like bitch and moan to me as much as you want. Like,
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I read somewhere from some professor that when someone takes their own life, their pain doesn't go away; it just gets transferred to all the people close to them, and I quite like that. I think there's some truth in that.
100%. Yeah,
all right,
it's pretty deep, but I wish there was something that people could understand before they get to that point. Like,
yeah. It's horrible to think that someone's in that darker spot that seems like the best option. Yeah, exactly. It's such a permanent solution to such a what is in the big scheme of your life a temporary problem.
It's just a blip, really. Yeah, if you can 100%. Get through that,
get through that moment.
I can't imagine how many people have actually been in that situation. Like you think it's an uncommon thing, but it's so common. I would say probably 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 people have thought about it or contemplated it, and just no one talks about it. It's such a taboo thing, but it's so important to talk to your mates and talk to your friends or talk to a complete stranger. Like, absolutely,
yeah. It is a Kiwi male thing. Like we're really good at having those superficial conversations, but it's hard to go a bit deeper. But it's a really good and really important thing to do. You may not want to answer this, but when you went through the dark days after the rowing career came to a screeching halt, did you ever have days where you felt suicidal or?
I was pretty lucky. Like as dark as it was, I was never like I knew my life was worth something, and I was never in that. Like I got dark, but I never got to that point where I thought, like, this is the way. I always kind of knew I was going to come out of it. I just didn't know how or when, or what to do about it. But I think growing up as a kid, I got teased a lot at school, and I kind of learned to deal with that kind of situation a bit better.
Did you? What were you teased about? The big ears?
Pretty much.
No, I'm kidding. Being short?
It was all part of it. Like I was really into my sport as a kid, and I was really active, but I went to a primary school where every kid was kind of from a family that was quite well off, and then my family wasn't that well off, and we were kind of just battling through life. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. I kind of look back at it and was like, why the hell would people be like that? But kids are just mean.
Oh, they are. Are you talking like primary, intermediate?
Yeah, it was primary school, but kids are unintentionally mean, and I think
assholes. No empathy.
No empathy.
They're evil.
Yeah.
And you see like little toddlers, even younger. They're so selfish. Like sharing doesn't come naturally.
No, empathy is something you learn, but definitely going through primary school and getting teased, and you look back and think, man, that kid was an asshole, but they didn't know any better. Like, we're all kids. It was just what happened. Everyone just wants to be part of that group, and if someone's teasing a kid, then you just jump on.
It's that pack mentality.
Yeah, you just join in. So, yeah, I kind of went through that, and I think because I reacted badly when I was getting teased, and I lashed out and fought back, and I was very quick to lose my temper. I just became a target, and it kind of just carried on from there. But I think had I not gone through all that shit, and like I was the youngest of 4 siblings, and I think my older brother teasing me, and he may have had some issues from my sisters, and I was kind of the punching bag at the end. Yeah, I was the punching bag at the end of the line. Yeah. So when it got to school and someone teased me, I lashed out real quick. And I think as shit as it was as a kid, it taught me so much more resilience as I got older. And I think it made me stubborn, and it made me more driven for sport as I got older. So, yeah, even in my darkest days, after getting dropped from rowing, suicide was still never an option for me.
Oh, that's so lucky. In some ways, they're probably tools that maybe helped you.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got some friends on Facebook now that they'll comment on posts and whatever, and I'll be like, "You motherfucker, you made my 4th form year hell. Like, you were a major asshole to me."
Yeah,
it sticks with you, right?
It definitely sticks with you, but I think it's how you can use that to benefit yourself as well. So I remember it being the shittest time of my life when I was a kid, but then as I got older, I used that to drive me. When I was doing sport, I used that to prove people wrong. I hated being told I couldn't do something, and my coach, my coach at high school knew that. Like, he would literally come down when I was putting my boat on the water, and he's like, "Look, everyone's a lot better than you. You're probably going to get your ass kicked. Just do your best and see what happens." I'm like, "Fuck you!" And I'd go out and smash the race and win it by a mile, and then he'd come back and he'd just be smiling at me. And I was like,
so he knew how to push your buttons.
Just knew how to manipulate it. Like,
right.
Yeah. He knew what would piss me off, and then I'd just prove him wrong. And yeah, it was kind of funny looking back. Like, I didn't really know he was doing it at the time, but now that I know,
you can see it.
You can see what he was doing, and I'm like, it's that easy to do to people, which is scary.
Yeah.
Like, so easy to manipulate people to get what you need.
Yes, manipulation is a good word. They probably call it psychology.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess if it's a positive thing, it's psychology, and if it's a negative thing, it's manipulation.
Yeah, it's hard though, because it's like years later, when just before you went to London for the 2012 Olympics, where you won that gold, and the selectors said, "Oh, you're performing shit." Maybe that's what they were trying. Maybe that was a level of manipulation.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Otherwise, they're just being
assholes. Yeah, bullies.
Yeah.
Man, we've been talking for 59 minutes and we haven't even got to 1, let alone 2 of your America's Cup wins. So how did that happen? You mentioned before that, like the rowing and like the fire service, that sort of just came into your life at the right time?
Yeah, so when I was on those kind of dark days, after rowing had kind of finished, a guy called David Slyfield, who was part of the High Performance Sport New Zealand kind of team, he was doing a study on Olympians and medalists and was trying to figure out, like, is there an X factor as to what makes us who we are and what drives us to achieve and win medals and things like that. And we just had probably a good yarn for a good 6 hours about everything that had led into what got me to the Olympics and how we won and things like that. And he was also working with Team New Zealand at the time for the San Fran campaign, and I can't remember if it was before or after, but he literally just said to me, "You'd be a really good fit for Team New Zealand. Have you ever thought about that?" And I was
why did he think you'd be a good fit for Team New Zealand? Because you were in a 2-person team.
Yeah.
So you go from a 2-person team to a very, very big team.
I think it was just
the structure,
the mental side of it, like just how I'm not 100% what he saw, but I'm glad he did. And
maybe it was just your ability to just do what you're told, and they say do this amount of work, and you just do it like a workhorse.
Yeah,
potentially.
I definitely didn't always do what I was told. we were always trying to push the boundaries and figure out different ways to do things, but I think that might have been part of it too, because I know that the team mentality in Team New Zealand is never status quo. It's always trying to find a new option or a thing that's going to make it better or faster or easier or anything like that. But yeah, I had these big chats with David, and then he kind of said I'd be a good fit for the team, and had I ever thought about it? And I was like, yeah. But then nothing really happened for probably 2 years, and I got into the fire service and went down that path and moved up to Auckland because that was the only place to get a job in the fire service at the time. And literally, I was on my way to work one morning, and David rang and was like, Team New Zealand are looking for some people. I'll put your name down, so expect a call. And next day I got a call from Glenn Ashby, and that was kind of it. He asked me if I wanted to come down and have a look at the team and give it a go. So I went down and started doing some gym sessions, and we were at that stage. Team New Zealand had pretty much fallen apart after San Francisco, and there was pretty much a core bunch of guys and girls left that were kind of trying to build the team back up from nothing. And a borrowed test boat off the Italians that weren't going to compete that year or that campaign, and we were putting that together at the time. And yeah, I was just literally, I was going and doing my full-time job as a fireman, and then on my days off I was going down to Team New Zealand and training with them and helping out wherever I could. And I probably did that for a year before I actually got a contract to join the team, and that's when we put the catamaran together, and yeah, it was on that whole path. And yeah, I was pretty lucky to be a part of it kind of when they came up with the idea of cycling, and I was involved then. So I started doing a lot of the testing for that and kind of going down that path, and we had to keep it a massive secret for as long as possible.
Oh yeah, because so your role in Team New Zealand's a grinder, and that's traditionally done by hand movement.
Grinding,
but yeah, you sort of reinvented the wheel in a way. And
yeah. So I'm not very good at explaining. I skip past things very quickly, but yeah, I got hired not hired, but I got brought into the team to be a hand grinder and doing that, and then all of a sudden, like, I was pretty fit from rowing, and in my past, we did a lot of cross training as cyclists, so I was a good person to be testing out the situation there.
But in terms of transferable skills, what is it? Just a good aerobic engine or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Rowing makes you, I don't know if you can get much fitter than being a rower. Like, it hits not only your legs, your back, and like, it literally hits every part of your body. And you could, like, I did it for 14 years nearly, so my base fitness was pretty incredible back then. It's a lot harder now that I'm getting older, but when I was nice and young, I could kind of do whatever I was doing and do it for a long time if I needed to. Yeah, so doing a lot of the testing for the cycling was hard work, and it was done in a little container to keep it secret, and yeah, it was.
What do you mean a little container?
Well, like a shipping container.
Really? Was it actually?
Yeah. So we had this test bike in a shipping container that run a few hydraulic pumps, and yeah, we were testing how it would work and if it would work. And it definitely doesn't work like you think. Normally when you're on a bike, you're moving forward, so there's inertia. But when you're on a bike moving a hydraulic pump, the top and the bottom of the pedal stroke are dead. So I was adapting to that and learning.
No idea what you're talking about.
How to get past that, yeah.
Yeah, I assumed, and I'm guessing a lot of people listening to this would assume that you were like in like the Millennium High Performance Sports Institute or somewhere like really state of the art.
No. So when Team New Zealand lost in San Fran, they kind of lost the base down in Wynyard Quarter, and we just moved into a tent and container world. So yeah, we had these big tents that they set up on top of containers, and then everything else was in containers. So yeah, when it rained, like the base pretty much got flooded, and there was water under the boats, like water in the sheds and things like that. So yeah, it was very agricultural, and yeah, people look at Team New Zealand and think there's a huge budget and lots of money, and it definitely wasn't the case. It was definitely just a whole bunch of Kiwis and quite a few Italians at the time, just working with the best they could with the tools they had, and we were pretty limited to everything. We had a pretty low budget leading into Bermuda, and yeah, everything was done on a shoestring. And I think as Kiwis, when we're pushed back into that corner, we do pretty well.
Yeah, that old, as they say, number 8 wire mentality. Yeah, remind me and everyone else what happened in Bermuda. So you won. Was it close? Was that against Jimmy Spittle?
So we had to go through the Louis Vuitton Cup first. So you have to race with GB, Artemis, French. Yeah, we had to go through all those different races just for the opportunity. So you win the Louis Vuitton Cup, and then you get the opportunity to race for the America's Cup, which was Oracle and Jimmy's Fiddle.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that. I'm just going to pause you there. I've known Blair Turk for quite a while, and we were texting each other when he was over there, and I was like, if you win one of those Louis Vuitton bags, can you bring it home for me?
Yeah.
And then you guys won, and you're on stage, and you each got a Louis Vuitton bag that you won, and you all threw them out into the fucking crowd.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Your missus must have been furious.
I definitely didn't throw mine into the crowd.
Did you?
You got to remember when we're over in Bermuda, the crowd that's in front of us is actually our own team.
Right.
And like all our own partners, and so you think it's a big random crowd, but it's our own families and things like that. So people are just throwing it to their wives and partners and things like that. But then all the bags got taken in and actually spread throughout the team. So the sailing team didn't actually get the bags in the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I'm guessing. So how many people are on the boat?
So I think there was only 7 of us.
So 7 on the boat. But how big is the entire team New Zealand?
120 something people.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so I think that's another thing people don't see is people see the sailing team when we're racing, and that's kind of it. But there's boat builders, designers, there's shore crew, there's people in the office, there's lawyers, there's everything, and it's just this massive working machine with everyone on the same kind of page, fighting for the same goal to achieve winning the America's Cup. So.
Yeah, and what a thing to be involved with.
Yeah.
And what sits better with you, like being the poster boy in a 2-person team, winning a gold medal, or just being like essentially a face in the crowd on the boat? I mean, when you think of Team New Zealand, it's like I suppose you think of Blair and Pete or whatever.
Yeah.
You can most New Zealanders can probably name them, I guess. Maybe one or two others. I don't know.
100% would be able to name Blair and Pete.
And there's all you workers.
Then we're all in the background, but. I enjoy that side of it. I enjoy just being part of a team, and it's something to be part of a crew, as small or as large as it is, working for that same achievement. And I think that's probably what I enjoy. Like I kind of do it throughout my whole life, whether it be rowing, the fire service, or Team New Zealand. We're in a fire. We're a crew in the fire service. We turn up to an incident, and we're doing the best we can to achieve the best outcome possible. And yeah, it kind of transfers through everything I do in life. I
feel like you need that in your life, and we probably all do, but you in particular, you need something that, I feel like you thrive on that.
Yeah, I think I just like having a purpose. When I'm training, I'm never good at doing it just on my own. Like I have to have a reason why I'm doing it, or a purpose, or almost someone that if I don't do it, I'm letting someone down. And I think now, for me, at the moment, it's like I kind of use my family. As much as they say that they don't put pressure on me, I put the pressure on myself. Like I want to achieve so I can support them and help them and give them a good life. So,
do you mean like from a financial perspective or
life experience? Really, right. Like for me,
and just be someone your daughters can be proud of.
Yeah, money's never really been a driving factor for me. Enjoy having it, and I'd like to have more, but I don't think I would have joined the fire service if I was striving to be really rich. Like I find things that I enjoy and I find purpose in, and that's what I get the most out of. But definitely for my family, I just want them to be proud of me, but I also want to give them opportunities to enjoy life and try different things and hopefully travel a bit more too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think money's a funny thing, because it's like obviously you need it to a certain degree to be happy, but then when you've got enough, it's like it's a point of diminishing returns, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever meet a rich person that thinks they have enough money. I think you get to a point and everyone just wants more, but I think it's finding that sweet spot where you can provide for your family comfortably, but also have good life experiences and enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's far more important.
I'd like to have enough money that I don't have to go to work all the time. But
you've got a hell of a commute. So you live
in Tauranga at the moment.
Tauranga, and you work in Kawarau, which is where we're sitting here in one of the offices at the fire service. Which it's like a timber mill town, but it's a sleepy little town. Yeah. It's like a 1 hour commute, maybe 100 k's.
Yeah, it's just over an hour. Yeah, and it's 100 k's each way.
Do you? I was thinking about this just before. Like we touched upon some fairly emotional stuff before. Is that part of the reason you enjoy being in a sleepier sort of fire station? Less action, or
no? I'd prefer to be at a busy station. Like,
yeah, would you?
I enjoy going to calls, and I enjoy the challenges that they provide. Like, each call is always different, and as hard as they can be, it's kind of, you feel a sense of purpose being at it, and you're hopefully doing a better job or giving the outcome a better option by being there and being part of it, or helping stop it, I guess. So for me, sitting at a quiet station, it's not really something I enjoy. I kind of get lost and bored, and find myself becoming lazy. But it's a means to an end. I'm looking forward to trying to get into Tauranga and getting out in the community a bit more.
Yeah. It's funny, like you mentioned before, like about the goal is to get positive outcomes. What you're doing here is, so much more important than winning like a boat racing trophy or a medal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the stakes are, so, there's so many more of you around the country, and everyone in the fire service is under the radar, but the job is so fucking important.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that if we weren't there, like, what would happen to a lot of people. It's an honour to be able to be part of it, and I think firefighters and anyone that's in that kind of support role, be it police or ambulance, get overlooked for what they actually do for people. And it's probably not till someone's in that situation where you desperately need us that you actually appreciate what we do. But yeah, I know for a lot of people, it's just being able to help your community and help people around you. No one ever does it for the money in this job, because if you were joining the fire service to be rich, you're delusional. But it's that sense of purpose, I guess.
Yeah, so there's probably a lot of people listening to this. I feel like a lot of people have gone through some sort of weird shit, like change over the last couple of years with the pandemic and whatnot, and there's a lot of people that are probably like thinking, I'm doing this job. Do I really enjoy it? Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? That are thinking about like a career transition, and not necessarily the fire service, but just from one job to something else. And it seems like a terrifying prospect, I think, for a lot of people. What would your advice be to those people?
I'm terrible at that as well, because I wouldn't even know where to start when it comes to changing a job. But I think if you don't find purpose in what you're doing, you probably do need to start looking for something else, as hard as it may be. Probably try and secure that job before you leave the one you're in. But
well, there you go. That's some good advice.
I don't know. I think the pandemic really brought back to people, I think, as hard as it was being locked down, I think people realised how much nicer it was to be home with their family and how important it was to spend time with them. And I think that's what businesses are struggling with now, is people going back to work and they're realising, I actually really enjoyed being with my family. Like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, everyone goes to work to make more money, to provide better for their family, but people forget that their family just wants them around. They would rather you be there than be at work for 100 hours a week. So it's finding that work-life balance is really difficult. And I think everyone's having to adjust to it, whether it be businesses and or employees.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a reset for people, and a chance to reassess your priorities. And also, now everyone knows that you can actually work from home effectively.
Yeah, very effectively for a lot of jobs. Not so much for this job, but definitely for a lot of jobs, working at home and being able to pick up your own kids from school is really important.
Yeah, hugely so. So how old are your kids now?
3 and 1.5. But
oh shit! So they know nothing about you. You're just wow. Oh, they're in for a treat.
They have no clue, which is like quite fun. Like, my daughter's,
they wouldn't even know what an Olympic gold medal is.
No, like, my daughter pulls it out and smashes it against the window. Like,
have some respect.
Yeah, my wife put all my medals in a vase one day, and I was like, "What are you thinking?" Like, my oldest, when she was about 1.5, pulled them out, just started smashing them against the vase and shattered the vase, and I was like, that was always going to happen. But yeah, to her, they're just playthings and they're like tokens, I guess, some toys. But yeah, hopefully one day they kind of can be proud of me for what I've done.
Well, I think they definitely will be, but I think their proudness of what you've done on the water is going to be eclipsed by just how proud they are of the job you've done as their father.
Hopefully,
yeah.
It's the most important thing to me, really.
Oh, 100% it is. Yeah, I can tell you're super proud of them. And, you and I have followed each other on Instagram for a while, and I see you playing on the trampoline with them and stuff. Seems like you're doing the dad thing pretty well.
Yeah, I probably enjoy that the most. Something cool about when you get home and they're just excited to see you. And then all of a sudden they're very excited because they know that you'll jump on the tramp with them or you'll take them biking or the massive list of things that they want to do with you, even when you're naked or just finished a massive training. They don't see all that kind of hurt, but yeah, it's just sucking it up and doing it. I really enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's good fun.
That's got to be the weirdest sort of juxtaposition, I guess, like having like a hard day, and a hard day at work for you is a fucking hard day, and then going home to just that like unconditional love and necessity is
love and disrespect. yeah. They don't give a fuck what I've done at work. They just Daddy's home and we're going to go play on the tramp now. So yeah.
Is that good in a way? I suppose it stops you from the stuff never goes away, but I suppose it forces you to push shit down and just be present and be in the moment.
I think it just helps you appreciate what you've got, and as shit as a day at work or whatever can be, taking life back to its simple form of just enjoying being around each other and who you're with, whether it be friends, family or kids or anything like that. Just appreciate the time you have with each other.
Yeah.
Just going out with your mates and having a social drink sometimes can be such a therapeutic thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, that human connection, It's so
just
important.
Connections, Don't isolate yourself. And I think that's the scary thing with social media is we see like all these things happening and we can sit on the couch and kind of feel like we're part of it, but being out there and actually doing it is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, that is so true, because you have that, I don't know, well, I do anyway, that sometimes on social media you have that FOMO, the fear of missing out. And it's like, what you're doing by being in that moment is that you're skipping over your actual life and you're missing out on that particular moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how did you and your wife meet? Was she the complicated one from before?
No, she was definitely not the fresh one. She was the fresh one.
So she's a yachting groupie? No such thing.
Not at all. When I met my wife, we actually met on Tinder. I'd just come out of a tough relationship and was just kind of having fun with life again, and met Jordan, and she was pretty, I guess, naive to everything that had happened. She'd never followed sport. Like, I picked her up for a date and took her out for a date, and
with your gold medal on.
Not with my gold medal on, but I had a sponsored car at the time, and she didn't even look at the side of it. She was just like,
it had your name emblazoned.
Yeah, and she's like, it's just a work car. So I took her out on this date and had this big chat, and I never mentioned anything about the Olympics or sport or anything like that, and we just had a really good connection. And it wasn't until like the third date that she actually looked at the side of the car and she's like, have you won a gold medal or something? And I was like, yeah, I kind of do sport for a living. She's like, I thought you just did it for fun or something. And I was like, what do you think I actually do for a job? And she's like, I don't actually know. Like,
she must have Googled. She must have.
She had no clue. And I think that's what I appreciated about it more. Like,
yeah.
I think after I won a gold medal, it was funny. Like, you meet people and they kind of don't give you the time of the day, and then they go talk to someone else, and then someone else tells them what you've just done. And all of a sudden they come back and try to talk to you again and get real in-depth. And I just don't have time for those people. Like,
that's terrible.
It's so strange, and people do it so often. Like, they'll completely ignore you, and then they realise that you've done something important, and then they're like, they want something out of you.
Yeah,
it's strange, but
it's so weird. I've got a mate that used to play in the All Blacks, and you'd get people like that, but you'd also get like drunk people that come up and be like, I don't even know who you are, but you think you're hot shit, and it's like, get the fuck out.
I always find that the funniest. Like, they have no idea what you've done, but someone's told them you've done something, and they kind of try to dress you down and bring you down to their level. Like, it's such a New Zealand mentality. Fuck you for achieving something. Come down and be a piece of shit like me.
I love that. I love that.
It's good fun, though.
That's cool. So how long have you guys been together now?
Just over 7 years, nearly 8 years now.
And is she, because you have to take time, unpaid leave from the fire service to do the America's Cup stuff, does that end up being like a pay increase or a pay decrease to go from the stable salary of the fire service?
Yeah, so the first time I think I joined Team New Zealand, it was a pay decrease. I made more on the fire service, but that just showed
the funds at the time.
The funds at the time, and it is as tough as it was in Team New Zealand then, and no one was really getting paid more. I think that was the best part, is everyone was there for the right reasons. No one was there for the money. Everyone was there to bring the cup back to New Zealand again, and that was a cool mentality to be part of. But yeah, then going back to the fire service was nice, and then the next time I got into Team New Zealand, it was a bit better. We got paid properly this time, and then come back to the fire service was a bit more difficult. But that's all part of it, and I think just having that experience the second time with Team New Zealand was really good as well. Yeah,
that was cool. So the first one was in Bermuda. The second one was the one that happened. It was sort of when the rest of the world was still locked down, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
this massive sporting event was happening in New Zealand.
New Zealand was in lockdown. We were I remember the day. What was he? He was our physio, and he was kind of in charge of our medical side of Team New Zealand as well. And he's like, "Boys, this pandemic is real. Like, it's happening. People are going to die. Like, we need to start getting a bit more onto it." And we were like, "Yeah, it's just something different. Like, it's all going to pass by." And then the next day he's like, "Yeah, we're packing up. Like, we're going into lockdown. Like, grab the grinders now, take them home. We don't know how long we're going to be in lockdown." And I was like, "This is just strange." And it was one of those weird. It almost felt like an Armageddon moment.
No one really knew what it meant.
No one, everyone was like, "Oh, this is just going to be for a couple of days and then we'll be out." But yeah, and then 5 weeks went past and it was abnormal. Like, my wife was still working from home. She was still having to work full time. So all of a sudden we had our oldest daughter, Amelia, and I became the full-time carer. And I'd been working for Team New Zealand and we were working 7 days a week. And then all of a sudden I was at home and I was put in front of this 1-year-old and you're in charge. And I'm like, shit. I had to readjust and learn how to be a parent. And it was hard for the first week. And I remember my wife just glaring at me and giving me the evils. And I wasn't doing it how she did it. And we had argument after argument. And I was like, just let me do my thing. And it was a weird kind of concept to I was a parent and I was a father, but I hadn't really been doing any day-to-day parenting.
It seems like you and your wife needed to go on a road trip overnight to the south of France or somewhere.
Yeah. I definitely know after that week, we definitely, things came good and we kind of readjusted, and it was a hard time. And everyone had just been thrown into absolute turmoil, and it was, how could you not be stressed and get at each other? But after that week, life just became really simple and it became really easy, and I was out. I'd get up really early, do all my training that I had to do, and then I'd just spend the day with my daughter, be outside digging holes or on the grass crawling around, or balancing on the retaining wall, which my wife also didn't like, and my 1-year-old learning to walk on the retaining wall. But I was just impressed by her balance, and she loved it. So.
Kids are so bouncy as well, aren't they?
Yeah. I just could never get over how quickly they learn, and they don't even know what danger is. So for her, she just thought it was fun, and I was getting enjoyment out of it. And
what a cool,
it's really simple.
Cool experience. I know it was a horrible experience for a lot of people, but a lot of cool experiences to take from there if you can find them. I'll be interested to see stats down the track somewhere about how many relationship breakups there were or divorces or whatever. Because I think a lot of people who probably had a relationship with their partner where they're like ships in the night, or you just have a brief conversation about the kids after a work day or whatever. Suddenly we're in the house together for weeks on end going, shit, we've grown so far apart, and I never realised that.
Yeah, it would be a strange thing to look back and see what shift it made in countries and people at that point in time.
Yeah.
Some for the good and some for the bad.
So what's next for you? Is there another America's Cup campaign in you? Or I feel like you're going to need some sort of sporting thing to focus on. I don't know. Still got a lot of very good years left in you. Did you ever do that coast to coast with Mahé Drysdale?
Yeah, I did coast to coast. Yeah. It was a bad coast to coast. Looking at it, I did the coast to coast, but I was still full-time rowing training and went into it really naive about how hard it was going to be. And I remember lining up on the West Coast and everyone just sprinting off the beach for the bikes, and I was like, why the hell is everyone sprinting? Why would you do this? This is a long way to go. And then once I got to the bike and saw the lead group had disappeared, and I was with this bunch of old people that were just doing it to achieve it, and I was like, that's why you sprint? I was in this slow group and just trying to rally them up to move forward. And
yeah, because the peloton thing in cycling or like riding in a bunch makes it like a lot easier, doesn't it? Like 20% or 30% easier.
It makes it so much easier. And if you can sprint off the beach and be with that fast group right off the bat, then you're literally an hour or two faster by the time you get to the run, and then it all kind of compounds if you leave it. So yeah, I went into it really slow and thought I'll take my time and I'll achieve, and then. Halfway through it was like, why the hell did I do that? I could go so much faster. But
don't worry, Mahi. We'll make up time on the kayaks.
Yeah, I actually, because Mahi ran off and he got on the front group, and I managed to catch him on the run, and I just had destroyed myself trying to catch him. And then all of a sudden, coming down the hill, he just ran past me again, and I just had to watch him go. And I was like, oh,
yeah, that goats pass ain't no joke, eh?
No shit, no.
It's a serious day out.
It's a serious day out. But as much as I hated it at the time, I also loved it. Like, it was such a weird thing to look back at. I remember being on the bike coming into Christchurch, and I was so tired and so just ruined. Like, I'd hit a traffic light, and I must have just missed like the point where they had all the lights cordoned off and they were letting the cycles through.
Oh God!
And I came into Christchurch and I hit every red light, and I remember just abusing the lights. Like, I'd have to stop and I'd just be yelling at it. And people in the cars around me must have just thought I was absolutely crazy. But I was just so delusional, and I just needed to finish that damn race. Yeah, it was just funny. But, man, it was such a cool achievement to finish.
Yeah, it's an epic event. Oh, yeah, so, yeah, sorry, I was getting sidetracked there. Is another America's Cup in you? Maybe?
Yeah, I'm training at the moment, trying to be the best I can come the trial coming up. So, yeah, we're going back to the bikes again, so I've gone from having really strong legs to really strong upper body for the last cup to having to readjust my body again and get my leg strength back up. So just kind of going through the motions at the moment and trying to put myself in the best position I can be for the trial and hopefully make it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'd love to be part of the team again. I love being in that atmosphere of giving it everything I can to power that boat and be in the team and achieve, and hopefully if we can win it in Barcelona, we can be in a better position to bring it back to New Zealand again. So yeah, I'd love to be a part of it, but we'll just see what happens.
That'd be awesome. And what else in the future? More kids planned or?
No more kids. I've already been to the doctor.
Oh, have you?
Had my
snipped.
Had my nuts tampered with, but yeah, I'm just enjoying being a father as well. So yeah, whatever kind of happens, I'll readjust to what's happening and go forward. I've never had a really solid plan in my life, so
yeah, everything seemed to work out okay for you, though, hasn't it? Just by sort of following your, I don't know, just following what feels right at any given moment, I guess.
Yeah, I think at some points people get so focused on achieving one thing that they miss opportunities coming around them. So yeah, I kind of just take opportunities when they come and try not to say no to too many things and see where it leads. I've been pretty lucky. I've had my ups and my downs, but yeah, more ups than downs. I'm pretty grateful for what I've been able to achieve and the opportunities I've been given. So.
Oh, you should be. And I think that's probably a good place to end it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, amazing. Joseph Sullivan, 1 gold medal, 2 America's Cups so far, 2 beautiful kids, and an amazing career with the fire service. And you're just getting, how old are you now?
35.
You're just getting fucking started.
Hopefully.
Not even midlife yet. Not even half time on the clock.
Yeah, there's a few more things I'd hope to achieve, but we'll see what happens. Yeah,
amazing. Oh, whatever it is, I look forward to following you. Thanks for being so generous with your time and your stories today, mate.
No worries.
Appreciate it.
Good chatting to you. Cheers.
Yes, likewise.
That was the incredible Joseph Sullivan. What a guy. Hey, if you haven't done so already, wherever you get your podcast from, most likely Spotify or Apple, why don't you chuck us a 5-star rating? Or if the platform allows it, write a review as well. I read all of them and I appreciate all of them so much. And someone was explaining to me how it impacts the algorithms. So the more ratings we get and the more reviews we get, the better the podcast goes. Also, you can get a hold of me by email, domharveynz@gmail.com, or on Instagram, domharveynz. I always welcome your feedback and also your guest suggestions. There's some amazing people out there doing some incredible stuff, but unless you guys bring them to my attention, I can't get them on the podcast. All right. Once again, thanks very much. Really, really genuinely appreciate having you guys here and hope to see you next week on Runners Only with Dom Harvey.